What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Movie Talks, your only podcast you need, or vodcast, depending on what platform you prefer to listen to us, if you want to see us or just hear us. But we are on to episode 24. So we have been gracing your ears for the last 24 weeks, and we do appreciate all of you. Our international listeners, namaste, hello. Can't remember the rest of them. There's konnichiwa.
There was a Dutch. There was one Dutch viewer.
There was. That one Dutch viewer has returned. I can't remember what the Dutch one is.
I'm pretty sure it says hello as well.
Hello. So yeah, welcome aboard.
Guten Tag, but is Guten Tag German?
That's German. Yep. That's where my last name is from, and that's why so many people mispronounce my last name because of our English language. But anyway,
hoi, HOI. Hoi is hi in Dutch.
I like that. That's kind of cool. Hoi. But we've got another big lineup for you, which surprisingly is another Netflix special. We do sometimes tend to just jump on a number of things that pique our interest, and they all happen to be on Netflix. So we have You People, which is the Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy movie that came out. They came out on Friday. We got Jung-E, which is a South Korean sci-fi blockbuster, and also Japanese Tales of Macabre. Got that.
Junji Ito's Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you know what macabre means?
That's
you know
that word?
Said.
Nope. Sounds like
it sounds really condescending. Do you know what macabre means?
Nah.
Like dark, like disturbing.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's quite disturbing that I can't even say it. So yeah. Yeah, but anyway,
I mean, it's one of those words that come. I think it's from French. It's a weird word for English, anyway.
It is. It throws my little brain out of here.
The little dyslexic brain.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
No judgment.
Whatever. Just for that, you can do the intro to movie news. Go.
For what? Woo! Movie news. That probably peaked out.
No, that was actually the first time it didn't peak out. So whatever.
Oh, sweet.
Cool. But as we all know, and we've probably mentioned it a number of times, Avatar: The Way of the Water has crossed 2 billion at the box office. So it's actually climbing above into the higher 2 billions. So will they get to 3 billion? That's kind of annoying because this will never end, the old Avatars.
I saw, who was it? There's the fire one. They've cast the chief.
Mm-hmm.
The fire chief. The woman from Game of Thrones, Una Chaplin, who got stabbed in the belly.
Oh yeah.
So she's the chief of the fire tribe in the new Fire movie that's coming.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath for it. So
no. I don't even want to put it in the podcast, if I'm honest. I don't want to chew up 3 hours of my precious time.
We probably will. But moving on to something that we are both we're players of, the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. A new trailer is out and it unveils.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's unveiling an action-packed new campaign. Cool. I hate their tagline. Roll the dice and step up. D&D heads a fresh cinematic campaign. I hate it.
That's dumb. Yeah, it's going to be really cheesy and shit. But I'm mainly just excited for, they're going to use all the spells that I've used 1,000 times. They're going to be in places that I know. There's going to be so many little things. I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. But I think it's just going to feel like a shitty Marvel. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Different time. This is going to feel like a Marvel film with fantasy elements in my eyes. I forget who's even handling this.
I don't know, but I hope they do a reasonable job with it. Like, make it at least enjoyable. Don't make it just like...
What's it called again? Dungeons and Dragons what?
Honor Among Thieves.
Oh, that's right.
Pretty generic sort of tagline.
Yeah, completely right. Comes out this year. Yep.
I think it's reasonably soon. Paramount are reasonably good. They've been doing
money at it.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a number of things that are pretty good.
Top Gun. Sonic.
Yeah. At least they're listening to fans. They were the only ones that when they came
It's
out
true.
with Sonic, and they were like, "No,
It's a
the
good point.
design's terrible," and they were like, "Yo, we changed it.
We'll postpone it and do it better." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's actually a really good point, and I doubt they'll do that with this because it's different in live action. But
Mm.
I am gonna watch it. We'll definitely put it in the review. It comes out 30th of March, so yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
for little D&D nerds like me. It's gonna be pretty special.
Yeah. Violent Night sequel is in the works. So
Oh, really?
yeah. I don't really know how much further they can go with it. Like, is it?
Because it costs nothing, so who cares? Might as well make
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah. I mean, it probably would have turned a profit. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like the Blumhouse sort of mentality. If you do enough things, something's going to catch and do well. So why not try a sequel?
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll probably have a look at the end of the year. The Madonna biopic is on hold. So another biopic. Like I'm wondering how many biopics they're going to do. Like, is it going to be
The trend right now.
Yeah, is it going to be I don't know, the year of the biopics? Like they started last year. Are they just going to keep pumping them out? You reckon? Like Madonna.
Yeah, it seems
Madonna's
he's
going to
had
be
one, but
interesting.
the other one
though.
was based on a book which was loosely based on her life. So I'm kind of. I mean, I was saying then when we reviewed Blonde that I would have preferred just a true to life retelling of her life. So I'm glad that's happening, I suppose. But
Yeah, well,
we'll
I
see.
mean, because the Weird Al one, that was good fun, even though it
Fucking
was
fantastic.
a parody of a biopic. Like
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
it
I've
was
rewatched
fun.
that since.
Oh,
It's
really?
just as good. I almost think I should put it higher. I want to give it back then like 4.5.
Yeah.
That movie is so good. But yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
okay. The Barbarian director is his next film is a horror epic titled Weapons. That is
Sure.
so confusing. You liked Barbarian, so
It's okay.
yeah, I reckon you'd get around it.
Yeah, I just like to do something slightly different. They tried
Yeah,
something new.
I guess so. And have you seen anything of the the 65, which is
What?
Adam Driver's like newest
Oh
film
no.
after Star
Did love
Wars?
Adam Driver, but no. It's
Really?
called The 55.
65.
65. No,
Yeah.
no idea what that is. Heard
So
nothing.
he's facing dinosaurs. It's like a sci-fi dinosaur.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird. Okay.
Look,
Didn't
he
expect him to be back into sci-fi.
no, I didn't like him in Star Wars. Like Kylo Ren was a cool idea until he took the helmet off and his Harry high pants. I can't stand the high pants thing. Is just ruined
Oh no, you're
everything
so
for me.
against him, and he's like his frame is so weird in high pants, but he's got no shirt on. Like,
It's so odd.
yeah, he's not intimidating. I know, but I
No.
think he's a very very talented actor. In other things, I think Star Wars. That's why I'm surprised he's doing this because Star Wars is like not his best role.
No,
I'll be
not at all.
into sci-fi again.
I don't
Sure,
know.
great. Don't care. I'll probably watch it because it's him. But yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure it will be interesting. Hopefully it's not
what's the
like
news today?
After Earth in terms
Ah,
of how they went with that.
it's a mess.
Well, no.
Absolute mess. Because M Night and Will Smith, just two idiots, two narcissist idiots working together on a film. It was never an idea.
Yeah. But let's move on. So that's all your movie
Yeah,
news.
let's.
I don't know, our format kind of changes week to week.
Sometimes we do 5 things, sometimes we do 2. Depends how
Yeah.
much we're talking shit about Power Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. Keep you on your toes. You never know what you're going to
Uh-huh.
get. But we'll move on to Netflix's newest film of Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy, You People, which it says it's rated R, but I guess it was MA for us, which would be
Yeah.
an R rating for
Yeah.
America. But this follows a new couple and their families who find themselves examining modern love and family dynamics amidst clashing cultures. So this, I got to say, who the writer was Jonah Hill and
Kenya Barris. Kenya Barris has done a lot. Like his repertoire is all like black comedy, mainly TV series.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that. I mean, I haven't looked into this, but based on the writers, Jonah Hill would have written everything about the Jewish stuff, and Kenya Barris would have written everything about the black culture stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why it felt like two movies at times, but
Right.
we'll get there.
So this is a comedy romance, and it's based around Jonah Hill's character and his love interest, which is Lauren London.
Mm-hmm. Amira.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember her name, but they are
Yep.
from two different cultural backgrounds. So Jonah Hill is playing the Jewish white boy, and Amira is from the other side of towns. She's obviously the black culture that comes in, and they fall in love. Jonah Hill is also on a podcast, which is kind of focused around, but it's mainly exploring their love and then getting the parents together.
Not the podcast, the show.
No, the show, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. The podcast is about black. He keeps saying the culture, but it's about black culture. I'll get to why that's a massive problem in a second, because that pissed me off. But yes, he does have a podcast all about the black culture, and he's on that podcast with his best friend, who is a black lesbian, Mo.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah. So the main sort of driving force is when they try and get the families together, because obviously that's what you do in a relationship. When it progresses further, you introduce your families to everybody. And where I really like this film, there were moments where it was interesting, but the awkward comedy they do really, really well. So Jonah Hill
classic
delivers.
Jonah.
Like he is in peak performance for that awkward comedy. Even especially just when the introduction of the mum and the family to Amira, like so awkward. Like the whole family plays in, even though they're playing stereotypical roles, they are playing the awkward comedy at its pretty much its finest. Like I haven't laughed,
the foot and mouth stuff.
I haven't laughed this much at like awkward comedy since like Superbad, or I kind of wouldn't say In-Betweeners is awkward comedy, because that's mainly like sort of
it has moments though, like when Will was like, feisty one you are, like those sorts of bits where you're like the cringe comedy.
So it does really well with that, but overall the story isn't that great. Like it's very generic. It's mainly one comedy scene to the next. Like the story is reasonably generic in terms of the romantic comedy kind of thing. Like they're introduced to the family, they have a confrontation, then they break up, and then they come back together. Like it's
written formulaic. It has that black moment where they break up, and are they going to get back together? And of course they fucking do.
Where this, for me, Eddie Murphy plays a very different role. Normally he's like the goofy kind of larrikin, where he actually plays more of a, I guess, the hard ass kind of father, which
to reference Jonah Hill, he's intense.
So I think Eddie Murphy does quite a good job at that. Like it's a different sort of role that I've seen Eddie Murphy in compared to his usual goofy.
The problem I had with him though, I need to sort of go into a bit of a dive here, if you don't mind.
Here we go.
I got fucking sick of his scenes, because his character was just a downer. He was more or less the bad guy, right? He's the hard ass dad. He is very sort of traditional in the fact that like men and women, black and white seem to be separated, and he definitely sees like the white man as an enemy. And I mean, I'll get to why I can't obviously connect with that as well, but you know, that doesn't for a character on scene, that's not a fun character. And when every interaction is just Jonah Hill fumbling around and being really awkward, and like there's some of that cringe comedy, and Eddie Murphy's character is just being mean, it gets old. And I just found myself with every Eddie Murphy scene, I was just sick of his attitude and how much of an asshole he was being. And I mean, obviously we got Jonah Hill's character at the end sort of standing up to him and calling him out, calling him an asshole and stuff, and that was rewarding. But every Eddie Murphy scene was just a bummer, and it just dragged me down. Whereas every Julia Louis-Dreyfus scene, which was the mum of Jonah Hill, the Jewish well-off mum who has like, they have a nanny and stuff, like they're well off, her scenes were so fun, and her like putting, foot and mouth syndrome and stuff. I really liked her scenes. I just couldn't connect with the other ones, and that makes sense. I mean, I'm not obviously part of Black culture. I'm not a part of Jewish culture. Yeah, I won't go too much more into that for now, but I just thought that Eddie Murphy's character was a drag. And I went online because I have a very one-sided, or not one-sided, a no-sided opinion on this. I went online and watched, specifically looked for Black reviewers reviewing this film. And two of them out of the three that I watched said that they would have preferred this movie just being about the Jewish family having to accept the black girl into their house and totally remove Eddie Murphy's entire side of the family. And I actually agree. I think it would have been a more fun movie if it was just about the Jewish family having to embrace Black culture rather than both. Anyway, bit of a rant. I know that's what I do, but just where I'm at, I guess.
Okay.
With Eddie Murphy in general.
Yeah. I think there were parts of it that were actually quite good. Like, it was kind of a roller coaster ride in this. Like, it would be one scene was really good, like I'd have a really good laugh. Then the next scene wouldn't be as good. It would be like a bit sort of mellow, not even mellow.
You laugh at Eddie Murphy scenes.
The basketball scene I did, where he was like recording it. It was like the pickup game, and he was like, and then when he turned around, he started hitting buckets and stuff, and he's like, "Nah, I missed that one."
Yeah, and that was different.
Yeah,
that was something different. Exactly, that was a fun scene.
I laughed at the barbershop as well, where he like stitched him up with the colors.
Yeah. Wearing red in the Crips area of East LA or whatever.
And the bachelor party as well, where he was like the hard ass and he's sitting there.
I hated that.
Club. I had a good
I found that whole, because again, that was just a bummer. It made what should have been a fun scene. And I know that it makes us connect with Jonah Hill's character. Obviously, I understand that. But a fun scene of them out and partying and doing whatever else was totally ruined by this downer character. Yeah, I disagree with that. I thought most of the time Eddie Murphy was bringing scenes down.
Okay. I don't know. I thought it was mainly for the awkward comedy moments.
Yeah.
Like, that's essentially what it was. And I did giggle at it. Like, where he's like, "Where's the Coke guy?" He's like, "Oh, he's got it tattooed on his knuckles."
The Coke guy. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, no.
That wasn't Eddie Murphy being funny.
No, I wasn't. I was just talking about the scenes that he was in.
No,
like,
I sorry, you're right. There were some moments, but for a 2-hour movie, I shouldn't not want one character to almost not exist.
Yeah, it was slightly long. Like, if this was an hour and a half and they reduced the number of scenes, like, they probably could have, even the burning of the hat, where he's got Eddie Murphy's character's got the hat, like, you could see it coming, where I would have just preferred the foot and mouth. Like, the mum carried scenes in terms of how awkward and how cringy it was going, but it went overly cringy when they dropped the candle and the hat was on fire.
Yeah,
they could have cut that. They could have cut a number of scenes.
It felt a little sitcom-y at times.
Yeah, but overall, you
go on. No, I was going to say that is part of the problem, having two writers, and I really think there is that disconnect. And I think the parts I loved were the Jonah Hill writing parts. And again, maybe it could be because I can actually connect with that more. That's why I wanted to go watch Black reviewers reviewing this, because I wanted to see their opinion. But I couldn't connect. It's not for me. I'm not the right audience. I'm sure that American audiences would understand this a lot more.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm in the same boat as you in terms of the connecting side. Like, the cultures, I don't really understand Black culture or Jewish culture either, because I'm not from there, or I don't have that experience. But I think I did enjoy the awkward comedy enough. Like, I was having enjoyments with each of the foot and mouth scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't overly bad, even though, like, the genericness of the story, I think that was enough, because I haven't seen such a awkward comedy done reasonably well for quite some time.
the moments that remind me of Get Him to the Greek, which obviously is Jonah Hill again. But yeah, he does that really well. And I guess I should have expected that more. But this is a huge gripe that I have. He runs and he quit his job to run a podcast about black culture. Then when he dates a black girl, everyone's surprised. And that to me didn't seem like a surprise. I mean, his best friend's already a black girl lesbian, but why is it a surprise that this guy who is well versed and quite knowledgeable of black culture and obviously is part of that culture with his musical taste and whatever, why is it a surprise that he's dating a black woman? Anyway, then as the story progresses and he's super awkward around black people and saying the right things and trying to fit in and whatever, it didn't make any sense to me because this is his world. This is his culture too. He is part of the black culture, even though he's a Jewish white boy. I just found it when he was on the podcast, he was so confident and he could say what he wanted to about the culture. And then as soon as he was in front of anyone, even his girlfriend when he first met her, it was just awkward. It didn't suit to me. His character went back and forth. I know that you could say, when you're in public, it's different being one-on-one with your best friend versus when you're in public, you're trying to make the right impressions, blah, blah, blah. But it just felt weird for me that this character who was meant to be knowledgeable and whatever else and be part of this world on a internal level, that he could make zero connections with any of her family at all besides her, which is just weird to me.
I don't know. I kind of see it like sometimes when you're in that situations, like you're very knowledgeable, and then when you try and get across, like it doesn't come across. Like you can sort of fumble at the goal line.
Of course.
Like I guess with his best friend and the podcast, they're in a very comfortable environment. Like they're comfortable talking to each other. But if you're throwing him into a whole different environment, he might go, all right, I don't know, he might have performance anxiety or something like that.
Yeah.
Like who knows? But
he can call his mum out. Like he pulled his mum aside and had a one-on-one with her and explained to her quite simply as being initially as what she's saying is a problem, and yet he can't articulate. Yeah, to me his character wasn't consistent. That felt weird. But I can see what you're saying. Like, different strokes, different people, blah blah blah.
I don't know. I think that was just him like just as the character. Like even when he tries to interact with his boss, where his boss was like sort of throwing slang terms at him, and they were having that back and forth, or he tries to quit his job, like in those high pressure situations. I think he's just
socially awkward.
Yeah, like he just
especially with authority, which he does with his boss and his partner's dad. And I get that, but like, what about the rest of the family? When he's talking to, like, he gets along with one young black girl, Amira. Why can't he get along with Amira's cousins or even Amira's brother? Like, surely a man who is deeply ingrained into black culture so much, in fact, that he dates a black woman, surely he would get along with that woman's brother, who's a similar age. I don't know. I see what you're saying, but his character to me was inconsistent to the point of plot convenience, what they wanted him to accomplish.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to be able to like, progress it, considering it's a 2.5 hour or 2 hour film. Like they have to have those inconveniences.
No, you don't. Just write better.
Well, they didn't. So here we are.
That's my problem. Yeah, look, I'm happy to give it a number now, but I know that I'm not the audience. I can't connect with either side. I'm not a Jewish white boy. I'm not obviously part of any, even American culture. The fact that the way she was saying the white side and black side can never get along. It's so that to me is so distant. But I don't live there. This isn't for me. I can't connect with either side. This movie isn't for me.
That's fair.
I didn't find it even funny enough. The scenes I found funny, I wish I had more of. The scenes of the Jewish side of the family, they were really fun, and it's nice that anyway, I'll stop. Yep. I like it enough, but I wouldn't recommend it. So to me, it's like a 2, maybe a 2.5.
I liked it enough that I would recommend it, but obviously
Sure.
not heaps that I'd go out of my way to recommend it. If someone said, "Would you watch it?" I'd say yes. The awkward comedy is enough to have like at least an enjoyable ride. I would say it's probably a little bit too long, maybe about 20 minutes too long. Like they could have cut a number
Yeah,
of
that's
scenes
fair.
down, but overall, it's about a 3. Like it's on the 3 to enough
Sure.
to recommend it. But yeah, like it's one of the better Netflix originals. So
And there are moments I was genuinely like cacking myself. For sure.
Yeah. So, if you enjoy those awkward comedies and whatnot, give it a look. Let us know what you think about it. And
If you're an American listener, I definitely watch it.
Yeah, who knows? But we are going to jump a whole different sort of genre here, and we're going to move into the next Netflix one, which is Jung E. I think that's how it's actually you say it. It's Jung_E. Just for those people, because I like to point out how things are actually spelled.
Megan with a 3.
3, yep. So this is a South Korean sci-fi action blockbuster. It's an action. It doesn't even put sci-fi in there. I would have thought sci-fi would have been one of the tags.
True. Yeah.
So it's action adventure drama, which is surprising considering the even the pictures on it. You're in a futuristic robotic.
I would actually take out action and replace that with sci-fi. It's definitely, I'd say, more of a drama than an action. But
this caught me by surprise. Like I was not expecting this. So this is on an uninhabitable 22nd century Earth. The outcome of a civil war hinges on cloning the brain of an elite soldier to create a robot mercenary. So we are presented with a robot mercenary who essentially, as you would have heard, is being cloned. And the premise of the war reminded me a lot of the Gundam in terms of people from Earth went off and colonized like space, and now they're in space. I was like, oh, this is giving me real Gundam vibes. But that's
and
where
the 100 and many things. But yep.
Yeah, this is kind of where the comparison stopped. And I was like, oh. So people on Earth, if they're terminally ill, are able to be given 3 options. Option A is they're able to get their brain cloned and they get into full human rights, etc. And they essentially become would you call it a cyborg? Would you call it like a robot?
Well, it's their brain, but it's still inside a totally cloned cybernetic robot. So I wouldn't say cyborg, but AI. They call it AI, but like a robot.
Yeah, so they're essentially a robot. They get their brain scanned and they have to give the government their brain data. So
that's not A.
Yeah,
A is full rights. They are more or less human. B was they have to give up their data.
No, I thought they still had to like supply data. I thought they had a choice.
I thought A was still as many rights as a human. You still have everything you keep to yourself. Anyway, I guess it's not super important.
Did you watch dub or sub? Because the dub was horrendous, but I actually laughed a lot of scenes due to the dub. Like, I'm not sure it was meant to be comedy.
Yeah, some of it was kind of awkward. I started watching in sub as usual. The first scene was this over-the-top action scene, and all my notes were like, "This is boring. I can tell I'm not going to enjoy this, etc." But so then I changed it to dub, and then the movie actually started getting interesting. And I kept it on dub. I kind of wish I changed it to sub.
Okay.
But yeah, some of it was kind of awkward in dub.
Yeah. So I'm pretty confident in A, they still have to supply like data readings.
Okay, I could be wrong.
Brain.
Yep.
And then B was they have some human rights, but they're unable to get married. They're unable to get the full human rights. It's like, I guess, they're not being cloned. And
they're not considered a human. They're still considered a robot.
Yeah. And then C is essentially they give up all rights and they can clone and mass produce your image and brain for whatever they want.
Yeah, you don't own your body is owned by like the government, more or less. Yeah, the corporation. Yeah.
So essentially, they were the options. There is a number of action scenes which turn out to all be simulations, which is really annoying until the end. Like, I was expecting I was expecting an action film. The CGI is pretty good overall. There are moments where it freaks out. Like there's moments where there's some like animal sort of all fours robot where beams and stuff are falling onto it, and like the CGI freaks out. Yeah, like it just
and there's moments where if anyone real needs to quote unquote interact with anything CGI, it looks pretty shit. But the full CGI scenes weren't terrible.
Yeah, so
at this point,
I think they did a reasonable job at the atmosphere in terms of like the bleak sort of existence that they're in. Like everything looked pretty bleak. It obviously looked like it being ragtagged in terms of the world and the earth, etc. But the story
the color.
Yeah, the story in itself wasn't overly exciting for me. You might find it differently. So we find out that it's the mother is some legendary mercenary, and essentially she became a mercenary to help her daughter because she needed surgery and she was sick, which is very generic, and I didn't quite like it. But like it gave a motive about why the mum needed to obviously be a mercenary. Convenient, yes, but you can kind of forgive it. It was like it did sort of play in, like at least they continually played on the fact in terms of where the daughter was. So the daughter becomes one of the scientists. Was she a scientist or like an engineer? Like what's the...
Yeah, she was like an AI researcher or something like that.
Yeah, so it was never really fully disclosed exactly what these guys were, whether they were engineers or they scientists. So essentially she's working for the company and they are trying to get this mercenary to become the next like advanced war robot, which we've seen a number of times.
Yeah, using her mum's brain data to create these AI bots. But every time they run the simulation, it always dies in the same place. Yeah, that's what they're trying to figure out.
And then there's another guy who essentially is the guy that is trying to move the company forward. And if you watch this in dub, where he's doing the introduction of the promotional video, so funny. It was so awkward. It was
real strange.
So he kept interrupting. Like there was a number of parts where it was actually quite funny. And then colors come into play and they overemphasize on the dub. Where
they go wild with it.
It was like they're looking at the brain data to try and see how the brain is acting. And for some reason, when it goes white, it's like performing at a normal sort of level in terms of what a mercenary would. And then when it's not connecting, the red comes in. And then as soon as the new part of the brain activates, when they shoot it in the leg for whatever reason, whether it's like adrenaline coming in or whatever, he's like,
yellow.
Love. Or was it love?
Yes.
I missed it because I got stuck on.
It happens at the end when they're talking to the daughter and the yellow comes in. That's when they realize, it's when she's thinking about her daughter that the yellow comes in. Yeah, go on. And they say yellow what?
Yellow as a pineapple. That's what I got stuck on. I got stuck on that for a long time. That's probably why I missed the whole love. Like it was so awkward. And just no one mentions anything. They just leave it. I guess obviously the dub probably didn't translate across.
Like, exactly. I do wonder if because when they translate anime, they don't directly translate it. They say what will make the most sense for the character in English, whatever. I do wonder if this was almost a direct translation because a lot of the comedy fell a little flat, and I think it came down to the translation, but also the dubbing.
You're like a pineapple.
Like a pineapple. Like I think he said like a big pineapple or something. Like
no,
it was strange.
He just like yelled pineapple and like he was real flat for yellow like, and then he just yelled pineapple. Like it was so odd, and no one responded. Like I don't know. It has to be something that were in the downfall. I don't know if they were like, here, you guys need to dub this, or like some passionate voice actors or whatever. But
that character was, even when there's a scene toward the end. I mean, to get into spoilers, but you don't watch this for a good story, I promise. even in the scene at the end where he is like he's like yelling at I forget any characters' names, but the main scientist lady daughter, and he's got a gun to her head and he's like screaming at her. He never came across to me as intimidating. And I think that's because the dub was so bad. Like the guy yelling was obviously holding himself back in the recording booth. Um, they're the moments that I wish I had gone back and changed it to sub, because his scenes always felt just comedic. Even when he was screaming and trying to be scary, he just felt funny.
Yeah. Well, even when the grand like head honcho bloke just randomly appeared and like turned the other bloke
The
off.
chairman.
Yeah. Like why was he was so awkward and weird. Like
Yeah.
I know you're in essentially a futuristic like apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
why are you so eccentric? Like I wouldn't imagine an AI bloke that's trying to create a futuristic soldier is like
Would act like Master Roshi. Yeah.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
very odd.
It was. I think they were trying to make him um almost like fatherly or like grandfatherly. Which was because he came there to give them really bad news, but he said it all in such a pleasant way that it was almost confusing.
Yeah, and he was like giggling and having jokes. Like
Yeah.
it was very odd. The
I
the
like the
whole
reveal that
interaction.
the that guy who was driving the story forward, again, we should have written names down maybe. I can't even tell on the IMDb listing who's who because half of them don't even have photos, but um the awkward guy, I like that his reveal was that he was like the prototype almost. He was the chairman's first AI.
Yeah.
And he didn't know, which I think was I mean, we knew before he did, which is interesting because normally, we'd find out the opposite. But I really liked how in that scene, I was trying to thought.
The
I was
review.
trying to thought completely. I was thinking about the whole robot ending, and I forgot what I was saying about the current scene. Not important.
Yeah. Well, it also turned out that the mum was the C. She chose C in terms of mass producing, and then the company were
Yeah,
like, "Here, we're trying to create like a sex robot." Like it
yeah,
was
that
a
was a weird scene.
whole divergent in terms of where the story was going. Like it was
Yeah,
bizarre.
yeah. Um, the things that to me the weird is this researcher, this daughter main character is one of the head researchers, and yet she has cancer, and they're not willing to give her a higher up A or B. But I guess it's all about control. If she chooses C, and I guess that's what happened with her mother, Jung Yi. She had no choice but to go down the road of C because they couldn't even afford anything better. And that to me, once the movie moved into that realm, and it started to feel like a Black Mirror episode, and we're starting to talk about the morality of digital mortality and talking about ownership of bodies once it's just the brain, and once we're talking about like capitalism and how capitalists would take advantage of that, all those conversations that the movie was introducing, I really enjoyed. I liked a lot of sort of the way that our main character dealt with, is she really my mother? Is she just a robot? We see at the end there's a bit more of a connection. Yeah, to me, those were the parts that actually made me enjoy the movie again. But then it just ended on a fucking action climax again. And I'm just sick of every movie that has something to say that's either an action or a sci-fi has to end with an action violent killing scene.
I don't know. I thought this movie, the only good things were the action
Of course,
scenes. So
of course you'd say that.
yeah. Like I didn't think that the movie spent long enough in terms of like exploring this. It was kind of like, here's some action. We're going to focus mainly on the destruction of the world. We're
Yeah.
trying to develop a AI futuristic war machine. And then they were like, here is some like questionable sort of moral questions. Where's advanced AI going?
Yeah.
Where you either need to pick one or the other. You can't live in both realms. Like
I
either
do agree.
like pick one avenue. Like if you want to fully go into that realm of like questioning AI, like isn't there another movie actually called AI back in the day? Wasn't it like Spielberg or someone or
Yeah.
other? And that like
Yeah.
questioned the morality of AI and like those
Yeah.
kind of things. Like
A lot of the things do it. Like I said, Black Mirror, but
yeah,
I like that.
yeah. Well, you pick a lane and go down it and do it well.
I
Don't
agree.
pick
Either go
multiple
down the
lanes.
road of Black Mirror where it's all about the drama and making you question the rights and the wrongs and oh, is the good guy right? Is the bad guy right? Or go down the road of was that maybe watched Warriors Warriors of the Future, Warriors of Future, where it's just non-stop over the top ridiculous action the whole way through. Yeah, pick a lane. This
Yeah.
movie started with, and I wrote in my notes, I really wish they didn't start with an action scene because this feels like a drama. And then the end was an over the top action scene again where they're fighting on fucking rail cars and they're inside small rooms and big rooms and the environmental things going on. And it was, yeah, it's one or the other. It's one or the other.
Also, for the rail cars, I got stuck on why would you put the connection to the rail car above it? So you know how like the tracks are going there and the connections are up on top. Why? I don't know. It seems like eventually you're going to get wear and tear of like gravity pulling it down and the tracks of the carts moving along. Like in terms of, wouldn't you have it on the bottom so that the track is holding it down? I don't know. It was just
it's very science fiction-y. I think that's the only reason why.
I don't know. The design I was confused about. And yeah, I don't know. Why were all the robots humans, like humanoid? Like why wouldn't they be experimenting with like different skeletal structures?
Where's the fucking cheetah robot and shit? I mean, like there's it's the same. I think the same shit all the time when we watch futuristic stuff and they base everything on humans. Like our fucking design is perfect. Our design's horrible. Our backs can't support our weight. We can't run that fast. Our knees and our ankles aren't meant to be supporting bipedal structures for this long. Humans suck. Why aren't we building more shit after animals? Where's the fucking gorilla robot tearing shit up?
Well, like, I don't know. I figured you would be further advanced, but whatever. Doesn't matter. I mean, even their tags, they got it in the same order. It was like action, adventure, and then drama. So like they start with the action, a little bit of an adventure in terms of where they're going.
There's no adventure. The whole movie takes place in pretty much one room. I don't know how there's any adventure in this.
When they're escaping, that's the adventure.
That's action.
It's a stretch.
The movie was action, drama, then action again.
Yeah, an action sandwich, but the action wasn't that good to even like carry it. Like it was It was kind of the same action scenes a number of times, like because it was always in the simulator. It was like almost rehashed. It was like, do they have the budget to be able to expand this? Like it was bizarre, but I guess
I didn't mind that. If it was a drama and that was sort of the point, is that it's repetitive, then fine, you're saying something. But yeah, if it's meant to be an action film and you're giving us the same action over and over again, it's nothing. It's boring.
That was odd. What would you give it though?
Yeah, I flip flop a bit. There are parts I like, and like I said, there's parts that raise interesting questions and make me think. But it is pick a lane. It's two movies sort of mashed together. It's a 2. Yep. It's okay. There are some cool moments, but not enough to make it worth recommending. No. Yep. Don't watch Black Mirror or AI or iRobot or some shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a good time with this at all. Like it didn't do either well. It didn't do the action scenes well. It didn't do the drama well. So it's like a 1 for me. Like I wouldn't even say look at the CGI because at times it freaks out the CGI. Like you need to do better. And I hope this doesn't get a sequel. Like there's got to be, what was the other one we watched? Alienoid. That was much better.
Alienoid. Yeah, that was better in the fact that it was more fucking balls to the walls ridiculous.
Even was it Warriors of Future as well? We watched that.
Yeah,
I felt
that
like
was super high action one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was better. Like that
Yeah.
was
If you want to watch an action movie, go watch Warriors of Future. That's over the top, ridiculous, crazy action. People
yeah,
who like action have frothed at me. I keep seeing TikTok videos saying how good it is, and that
yeah.
Hollywood needs to learn from Chinese. Oh, what was it? Chinese
South Korea.
Warriors of Future. I thought that
Mm,
was Hong
maybe.
Kong.
I don't know. Maybe. Could be. Yeah, it
Anyway,
was. It was. That was
that's
Hong
better.
Kong.
If
Yeah.
you want an action, go watch that. If you want an actual drama, go watch many other things.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't skip that. Skip that. Don't go near it.
Don't bother.
And we are jumping to another Netflix. I guess this one is a TV show, which is an anime, and I'm going to Lawson introduce this one because apparently I cannot, say names correctly, and he
No,
wanted to
that's fair.
introduce this one.
Sure. So it's Junji Ito Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre. It is so Junji Ito Maniac is a manga horror artist. Supposedly his work's pretty good. I don't read a lot of manga, so I can't really support that. But supposedly his fans are like diehard, big cultish sort of fans.
Okay.
So the synopsis says, from the mind of horror manga maestro Junji Ito comes a spine-tingling selection of some of his most bizarre, disturbing, and terrifying tales. So I'm guessing his manga presents the same way as the show in the fact that he doesn't do long-running stories. He does little snippet sort of mini horror. Yeah, I guess they must range in length because the way that the show presents, like the first episode is 1 22-minute story. The second episode is a 12-minute and a 10-minute story. So some of them are quite, full show episode length, and some are only like 10 minutes long. We watched the first three. The
Yep.
first one was about this family of siblings living together, and their families had died, or their parents had died, and there's some spiritual stuff going on at their house. The second one was 2 parts. The first part was, I'm trying to recall now.
This was the story of the tunnel. So the people
Yes,
in
the
the
mysterious tunnel. Yep, mysterious tunnel. So a guy goes down a tunnel. He misses his dad's gone missing down this tunnel. He goes to go try and find him. Second part of that one was this ice cream bus where all these kids line up for ice cream. They get on the bus and disappear and come home. And then the third episode was a full episode again. And that one was
the hanging balloons.
the hanging balloons. Yes, which are behind me right now on the VOD. So yeah, 3 sort of spooky tales. Oh, sorry, 4 sort of spooky tales. I'll let you start on sort of how you went watching it. I've got mixed opinions, I guess, to say the least.
Okay. Yep. I think our best way to do this, because there are a number of different stories, let's talk about each individual story.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yep. So as coming in, the first episode is all about the strange siblings. And I gotta say, I was like, if I'm in for another 2 episodes of this, I'm not going to be happy. Where this was not a good introduction to the series. Essentially, it's about this family living together, and they're all siblings, and they're more or less sort of feels like they're conning people rather than like being spooky. It felt more like a con rather than them getting ready to like kill people. So the family, the parents died, and they're all sort of standing around. The eldest brother is for some reason in charge, and there's a weird hierarchy of how they're all working together. And he goes out and he finds a girl taking, was it photos? She doing photos?
Yeah, taking spiritual photos.
Yeah.
You can see spirits in the photos,
Yeah, so she's taking photos, and for some reason he convinces her to come back to their house for a seance. Like, that's so random in terms of like how that even gets her. And
in fact, she's like, yeah, no worries. He's so creepy about it too. And he's like, cool. I'll see you tonight.
It's just randomly goes there, and she brings her boyfriend. They do a seance. It turns out one of the siblings fakes the possession, and spews up corn flour or something or other, and then
pretending it's ectoplasm and it's just corn flour. Yeah,
and then he's able to then take charge of the
because he pretends to be his dad. He pretends to be possessed by his dad, and he's like, "You shouldn't be talking to the eldest brother who's taken charge of the house. You shouldn't be in charge of the house. Your brother should be." And then we will find out that it's all a con to put himself at the top of the house.
Yeah. So and then the boyfriend is onto it, and that's how we find out that it's corn flour, and there's a little bit back and forth in rivalries, and it's just overall it sucked. Yeah, go.
But what happened at the end?
I don't know. I stopped caring with that episode.
Exactly. No, not exactly to you, but like, I don't know what happened at the end. At the end, we see the spectral vision, I guess, of the actual dad be summoned by one of the younger siblings or something. Like all of a sudden, he's just there, and this yellow piss-looking ghost goes through the house. Everyone runs out of the house, and then it just fucking ends. And there was no like payoff. I don't even know what happened at the end. Like there was nothing even spooky. When it turned out that what was spooky was actually a con, and then all of a sudden ghost at the end, and then the end. It was fucking. It was not a good start to the series.
It was bizarre, and then after the credits, there's like this random, it's almost like a monologue, which makes
it's like a
no
poetry
sense
reading.
To me. Yeah,
I did not understand it. And was it the same every episode? That ending dialogue? I tried to listen, but I couldn't tell.
It was different each time, but there was a random monologue or poetry, whatever you want to call it, at the end of each episode. Then
I didn't understand it. I went online to look up if that was like something that he would do in the manga, or if he had like a little passage of poetry at the end of every story. I couldn't find anything. I don't know what the fuck that was.
No, that was just random. So first episode is really poor, and luckily the stories do get progressively better, which is good to know. Like if I was recommending the show just on that, it would be half a star. Like it was bad. Then we go into the story of the mystery tunnel, where this one's a little better, but again, I didn't really like this one. So essentially there's this tunnel. So Goro returns to the tunnel where he once saw his mother walk into. So he goes into the tunnel, and they were conducting experiments or something or other in there, or
something to do with radiation and sound waves, and that the best place to pick it up is inside this tunnel or something. I don't know.
For whatever reason, like it was
science.
I think due to its like short nature, it was never really explained.
And it's quite ambiguous.
It just left
there are scientists in a tunnel. The end.
It just left me confused in terms of what the hell was going on. And then for whatever reason, there's Ghost in there. Like I would have liked that there was a murder, or there was something in there that there was a reason for these ghosts to be in this tunnel, but it wasn't. They just appeared and then they started like murdering people. Mason.
See, I like that.
Yeah, but I liked her. I like reasons why there's like spirits or possession or something. Like then.
Yeah, then this is the wrong show for you. I really like stories where we don't need exposition. We don't need to know what's going on. We can just watch a small setup, a small build, and a payoff. Mini stories to me are perfect. Like I really like the way that these are paced, and we don't need to know anymore. I don't need to know about these ghosts. It's a spooky tunnel. The end.
That
was enough for me.
No, you need something. It needs to be a reason that. So like, why is he once saw his mother walk into? Like, why? Why is it all of a sudden he's obsessed with this tunnel where he once saw his mother walk into? Like, I'm sure he saw his mother walk into a number of different places.
That's where she disappeared, though.
Oh,
she went in there and then she never came out. That's why he was fixated. And then his brother went missing in there, and then his dad went missing in there.
Whatever, don't care.
I mean, I'd be fixated.
Yeah. Whatever. Well, he dies. Everyone dies. I don't care.
Yeah.
That episode.
I really liked the escape scene where they were trying to run away, and the ghosts are like dragging them through the floor and through the walls, and we see them age rapidly or like almost become decrepit and dried out. I think the imagery is really cool in this episode.
Yeah, it's an improvement on the first one, definitely.
Definitely.
So again, it's probably only a 2 for me on that second story about the tunnel.
Okay, more like a 3 for me. I feel like I'd recommend watching that episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we come into the ice cream truck. So a man, so a man and his son move into this new neighborhood, and for some reason, this ice cream truck, which you just assume, like, obviously, we used to have those home delivery ice cream trucks that used to drive around on the weekends, and you would get excited about it. So I think it captures that sort of excitement in terms of the children with ice cream trucks. Like, it does really well with that. There's a little bit of mystery about why the ice cream truck all of a sudden, after they get an ice cream, takes the kids on a tour of the city every Saturday. And the parents are like, no worries, go.
I know.
That's so odd. Like, why would you let an ice cream bloke all of a sudden pack all these children in and then every week just take them on a tour of the city? Like, it's very odd. It's not explained, but that's not the point.
And not a single parent besides this one had ever come up and been like, hey, can I come too? Maybe they had and just been told to go away like he was. But I agree.
I don't think he's ever been challenged, because I think that was the whole point, that this father was the first one to ever like be like
question it.
Yeah. I think that was the whole build up, where this actually had like more of a spooky tone for me in terms of like what is going on, why are these children, like there was a mystery to it, and I really enjoyed it. And turns out, spoilers if you don't want to like know the story, because it's just a short story, so I guess you don't worry about spoilers. It turns out that they're eating ice cream and it's turning the kids into ice cream.
Yeah.
That's
it. Exactly. That was all it needs to be. Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. And then once all the children had died in that actual area, it was like the ice cream truck's flying to its next spot. Why it can fly, I don't know, but
why he wants to kill them, why he wants to turn into ice cream, we don't know. Yeah. But yeah, the imagery was really cool as well. I like the scene where the dad's trying to get onto the bus and he looks sort of in the door, and there's just these mounds of ice cream, like 4-foot mounds of ice cream, and the kids are all just like on their hands and knees licking it, and getting all these like really gross close-ups of the kids licking this ice cream. It was cool. Yeah. I like this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I would like a follow-up one with like the origins of the ice cream truck or something or other. But I want to know. I want to know.
That's not the point. I really like these. Yeah, I've already said it. I really like these little chunks of story. It's perfect.
Yeah. But this one was much better. It's like a 3.5 to a 4 on this one. Like it was much better. And then
probably the same 3.5.
Yeah, like I would recommend people to watch that one. Then
which episode 2? Both good.
Yeah, it gets better. And then episode 3, obviously this is where we stopped after this episode, so we can't recommend, well, we can't tell you about the rest of them, but this is called The Hanging Balloons. So this is when all of a sudden huge balloons with people's faces and loops attached to them appearing in the sky over Japan. So we are presented with, there's a famous actor or person, wasn't it, that originally first died. So she dies for whatever reason. They call it I'm pretty sure they call it suicide, don't they?
They call it suicide. She's hanging from almost like a satellite dish on the side of a building, not even from a window. She's in a really peculiar spot. She's hanging by her neck. Yeah.
And then there's a number of cuts to people in their bedrooms, like hiding themselves away, and like people knocking on the doors and like, hey, come out. Like, that's pretty creepy once you work out exactly what's going on. And then you see all these massive balloons with people's faces, and they are creepy. Like, this is the sort of
behind me,
like the Japanese horror that I sort of got spooked as a kid. Like it's, would you call it? It's kind of that uncanny kind of valley. Like, it creeps you out because it's like, it's human, but it's not like real kind of thing.
There's a creepy, that smile with the wide eyes and stuff, there's a creepy quality to it for sure, and it definitely is down the uncanny valley.
Yeah, so they're essentially anytime someone goes outside or puts their head outside, these balloons come down and they're like menacing, puts the loop over them, and off they go. And they're all like hanging in the sky until there's one person left. And then we get that.
And as it begins with just like one person getting picked up, and then everyone's freaking out, and then as the story is told, sort of like we see this like the classic black screen with white writing. 3 days later, etc., etc. And I think the story takes place over like a week or 2 weeks. And we just get these little snippets in time of these things slowly taking over Japan. And there's a really cool image when we jump to present day, and it's just a city skyline, like I'm guessing Tokyo or something else equally as big. And then there's just us, like the sky is just full of all these floating heads with bodies hanging from them. Really cool imagery, like obviously taken straight out of the manga. Yeah.
So this story was the best out of all of them, and
definitely
it was a really good episode to see it. Like I'm hoping that the other episodes are that sort of quality, but I honestly don't know. So I guess look, those short stories are, I guess you're going to get a few hit and misses here and there, and like horror is going to appeal to people differently based off your like your tastes,
your own fears, and
so
definitely.
But overall,
I think this is one of those things where I would go online and look up a list and just watch the decent ones, or even now looking at the IMDb episodes, the Hanging Balloons is the highest rated. And when I looked up lists the other day, the Hanging Balloons is usually one of top 3 on every list I've found. So it looks like we've already peaked at like one of the best episodes.
Okay.
But yeah, I would look up a list and watch the ones that are worth watching, and then maybe work your way down. And as soon as you get sick of them, you can stop. Because the first one, it's such a shit first episode. If we hadn't, like, I always watch 3 episodes. If I didn't have that rule and I just watched the first one, I wouldn't watch any fucking more. Like, that was the worst out of the 3 I watched.
Yeah. Why would you even release that as the first one? Like, why? Yeah. Why would you?
Maybe they thought it was decent.
I don't know. Maybe
no suspense.
Maybe the manga's different. Maybe this is just not a good translation, or I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I've heard people who are. A lot of the criticisms I've heard have come from people who love the source material and have said that this is a poor adaptation. One thing that I actually love that I've heard people say is a negative is the sort of traditional anime look. Like, this almost feels like a mid-90s to early 2000s anime. Like, the animation isn't over the top, and it's almost feels like nostalgic. Yeah, I really like that. Whereas I've seen people online say like, oh, the production value isn't as good as modern anime and stuff. But I think it almost adds to the horror vibe, making it feel like an older anime.
Yeah, but definitely.
Whether that's lazy or intentional, I don't know.
Yeah. So what would you give it as a whole though? Like, I feel like it's kind
of
difficult. I think I don't know. I personally feel like not giving it an overall score and just be like, watch some and pick and choose what you watch. Like, I think some of it is really good, and then the rest of it is probably not worth your time.
I think I'm happy to give an overall of like 3, maybe 3.5, because I'm probably still going to watch it all, and it's very much how I like to consume stuff. Like, I watch 15-20 minute videos on YouTube, and that's sort of the chunks that I like. I think this is the right thing for the right audience, but I don't know the source material. I don't know how much of a good or a bad adaptation this is. It's good for me, but not for everyone. So I'd recommend it with some follow-up questions, I guess.
Yeah. I would recommend, if you're going to watch watch the Ice Cream Truck and the Hanging Balloons, and then make a judgment call from there.
And then go find a list. Yeah.
I've
heard there's one. There's one that I think I heard about that sounded pretty cool, but I've already forgotten what it was about.
The next highest one based off the list is Toontown, which is episode 7.
Yep. After hitting a girl with his car, Soyoshi and his sister Kaoru find that the road they're driving on is blocked by countless tombstones. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll watch more. I'm keen to watch probably the rest,
okay.
but we'll see.
No, you watch it and then tell me which ones to watch if there are any
It's a
really good
good.
ones.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because I'm not doing it.
Fair.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not giving that overall. But
You.
next
That's
week, yeah, that's it. This is next week's lineup is surprisingly another Netflix special.
Yeah.
So we are going back to Korea. So this is Korea's Netflix attempt at, I guess, the kind of Squid Games, kind of like endurance survivory test, which is the physical 100. It looks
What was
pretty.
that old CrossFit one?
Oh, I can't remember. I remember Gladiators back in like early, what was that, 2000s or like late 90s? Do you remember
Yeah, of course,
Gladiators?
Gladiator. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was anywhere else besides Australia, but Gladiators was
Fittest? Is that what I'm thinking of? There was a show I'm watching, Fittest on Earth. Maybe that was it. Years ago, there was yeah, I think it was Fittest on Earth.
Yeah.
There was a CrossFit Netflix similar.
That was kind of more just documenting them going into like the CrossFit Games. It was less like.
Oh, okay, that's not the one. I'm thinking of a show where they literally every episode was like this, like they had challenges, they had to hold onto a bar for a certain amount of time, they had to lift this, carry that, whatever. And it was the people who dominated were like the mountain climbers.
Yeah, so I mean, this looks quite interesting.
Does.
Yeah, I'm keen to give it a go. Also, we're going into Netflix anime, which is a Record of Ragnarok, which looks very exciting. So it's now got 2 seasons out. So we'll give that a look. And then also we're going into another biopic, which is Pamela Anderson, a love story. So I was always a big fan of Baywatch, etc. growing up, and I was a big fan of Pamela Anderson. So this is going to be.
I have nothing to do with Pamela Anderson. I know nothing about her.
Right.
So
did you ever watch her action film Barbed Wire?
No, of course not.
I can't.
I don't think I've watched anything with Pamela Anderson in it.
Really, nothing.
I don't know. Like
nothing.
Genuinely, I don't know top of my head a show that I've ever watched with her in it. Let me have a quick scroll. I mean, Scary Movie.
Wow.
She's in Scary Movie 3.
Yeah.
But no, like.
Yeah, so Barbed Wire got a 3.5. And that came out in 1996. Blonde and Blonder, 2008. I got a 2.8.
No idea.
That's insane. But yeah,
I haven't seen anything from this list. I mean, she's been in episodes of like Futurama and King of the Hill and shit like that. That I mean, I'm sure I would have. But yeah, I've never watched anything with Pamela Anderson in it.
I mean, she was mainly known for Baywatch. That was.
Yeah, of course. But I never watched a single episode of Baywatch.
That's right. I forgot she had her own like animation called Stripperella. Stan Lee's
Stripperella. Oh, that sounds familiar. Was that an Adult Swim show?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I may have seen bits of that, but again, I've never seen her or anything.
Oh, she also had her own sitcom. It was like something to do with like a library and stuff. I actually didn't mind it. I watched it with my wife. Yeah. What was that? That was Stacked. That's it.
Stacked. Okay.
Stacked.
No.
It was on Fox 8. It used to play on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I might have seen an episode or two if it was on Fox 8, but
it got 2 seasons.
Single shit's given. I mean, I'll watch the doco, but I'm not going to care about her. I might be convinced that she's a fucking icon. Who knows?
Yeah, get around it. I'm going to watch Stacked this week. But I can find it. Yeah. In preparation. It actually had what's his name from Back to the Future, the doc.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
That man will do anything. He was in Food Fight, which is like widely considered one of the worst animations ever made. He does anything, that man. He's ridiculous. It's a bit like Danny Trejo. He'll just, if you pay him, he'll be there.
He'll be in it. I mean, why wouldn't you? If I'd be doing that. Give me money for anything. But
Yeah, especially that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's our lineup.
That's
We
it.
appreciate you guys coming in. Also, if you want merch that looks like this, I know you can't see it if you're listening to us, but Ryman TV merch, but we should make a Movie Talks podcast one so you guys can get around that as well. I'll make that during the week. Yeah, get around it. Also, if you guys know anyone at Under Armour that wants to like give us a heads up in there, let them know. If you want to, sponsor us, let us know as well. We're happy to do an ad. You can see how well our ads would go. They'll be entertaining at least. Like
I'll sing you a theme tune. It'll be different every time.
Yeah, who knows? At least we'll get the product details correct. So yeah,
we're so professional here.
That's right. But you know what to do if you want to make people's like life better, entertain them, make them sad, make them laugh, make them informed. Educate them. Let them know about movie talks.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell them all. You know what to do. We love you. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.